So now let me just start the coding. So whenever we are going to do the coding, so we may use certain things. So either we may use the numerical values, or either we may use some decimal values, or even I can type my name, which is nothing but we call it as a word. We can inject any word. So but if you observe, whenever I type something, so it is showing something in a red line. So it is either highlighting in the red or it is marking with the red underline. So whenever this thing occurs, it states that there is an error in the program. So why I'm not able to inject this numerical value. So for example, my program is I need to add two number. So what I'm planning to do, I'm just adding 12 plus 23. So I'm trying the additional operation, but it is throwing the error. So why it is throwing the error in the sense? So as I told, the Java is having many keywords. So for how it is highlighting the package name with the package keyword and class name with the class keyword. So in similar way, so for injecting any value inside the program, so we should use some keywords. So for example, so whenever you are going to use the numerical value, so either it can be of 1200 or etc. or 1000. So you should use the keyword called as an int. Okay, so the int is the keyword. Int is nothing but we call it as an integer. So whenever you going to use the numerical value, and the numerical value should be in the whole number and there should not be any decimal number. So in case if it is of a decimal number, okay, let's say you are going to give the decimal number in your coding 19.55 etc. So we should use the keyword called as an double. Okay, and whereas if you are going to use the single letter, so let's say you are using the special character, or you are going to use a single letter called as an A, etc. So whenever you are going to use some single letter, so you should use the keyword called as an char. And whenever you're going to use some wording, so wording in the sense, if for example, if I'm going to inject my name, okay, so we should use a keyword called as a string. So in which the S should be in capital letter. So altogether, this int, double, character and a string, so we call it as an data type of Java. Okay, so whenever we are going to inject something, which means inject any value in our program, so we should insert the appropriate data type. So initially we should have the data type first. Okay, so we should provide the data type, and then followed by, so we should give some variable name. So what is meant by variable name in the sense? So variable name is nothing but it is purely user provided name. Okay, so you can provide a name of your own choice. So we don't have any restrictions to stating that the variable name, so you should give this name for the variable name. So we don't have any restrictions. So you can provide any name, but we are having some certain rules. So we will be discussing the rules now. And then post to providing the variable name, so we should use the equal to symbol, and then we will be assigning the respective value. Okay, and as per Java rule, so whenever you are writing any coding at the end of the line, so you should give the semicolon. So which means, for example, if I am going to inject the numerical value, so I should give the data type. So what is the data type for the numerical value, which we call it as an int? So I'm just providing as a int, and we should give the variable name. So let's say I'm variable name, I'm just giving it as an first number. And if you notice the naming conversion of the variable name, so the naming conversion of the variable name should be same that of the method name. Okay, so we will be following the camel case for the variable name. Okay, so even the variable name should be follow the camel casing, and then I will be using the equal to symbol, and then I will be assigning some values. Okay, and post that we need to give the semicolon, and here you should always have one point in your mind, so stating that the variable holds the value. So this is the variable name. So inside this variable name, the corresponding value will be get stored. So for example, if I'm going back here, I'm using the keyword called as an int. Okay. So like why the int is highlighting in the different color in the sense, because it is like data type of the Java, or at the high level you can say it is 7 keywords of Java, and I'm going to give some variable name. Let the variable name is equal to a, and equal to I'm giving the 45, and at the end I'm giving the semicolon. So if I give in this way, I'm not at all getting the any error, because like we have provided the data type followed by the variable name and the value. So the variable contains the value, which means the variable holds the value. So inside this a, the 45 will be get stored. And how we can get to know, so whether it what is the value which is stored inside the variable, in the sense with the help of the print statement. Okay, so what is mean by the print statement in the sense? Okay, so what is mean by print statement in the sense? With the help of the print statement, we can print the output in the console. So the user will get to know the output in the console. So how we can add this print statement in the sense, like we are having some shortcut. Okay, so we call it as an yes out. So if I type this keyword, okay, so I'm going to type the keyword yes out, and I'm clicking on the enter. So it will add the statement called as an system.out.println. So this is the print statement, and inside the statement we should pass the appropriate variable name. So here we are having the variable name as a. If I'm just passing the variable name as a. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to run this program. How we can run this program in the sense, you can right click, okay, and then you can click on the run button. So there will be two buttons. One is like the play button, it is called as a run button, and there is another button called as a debug. So we will be discussing what is the need of this debug button in the later part. So we can click on the run button. So now what happened? Our project will build and it will execute this program, and it will print the output in the console. So this we call it as a console. Here you could see the output as a 45. So as the variable holds the value, so the corresponding value is printed up. So always have in mind, in a programming language, so the variable holds the value. So the variable name is purely user provided name. So I can give, instead of a, I can give a. If I give a, I should pass the appropriate variable name inside the print statement. Okay, so for example, for the meaningful, I'm just giving it as an first name, because like whenever you are going to type something in our coding, it should be like in the form of an meaningful name, so that at the later part, like we will get to know, so what is the need of this variable and what is stored in this variable. If you blankly give us a, b, c, at the later part, like you won't know, so what the a contains, what the b contains. So you can't do some like physical validations. So now we get to know, okay, this is the first number, which means like we are storing the first number. So now if I right click and run this program, okay, still it is going to execute, because the variable contains the value, so the corresponding output called as an 45 will be get printed up. So I can create more integer value. So for example, here I'm just going to add another number. So whenever you're going to store another number, so here we are having one another rule. So this variable name should be always unique. Okay, so should always unique inside the method. So whatever the variable name you're providing, it should be an unique. So if I provide the same variable name called as an first number, and I'm assigning the different value 100, so now like what happened in the sense, it will throw an error. Okay, so we will getting an error. So when we execute the program, right? So sorry, it's not throwing the error. I should give the first. Oh, here I'm giving the first name. Let me give it as an number so that it will be like meaningful. Okay, so now if you could see, so I have provided the same variable name in the line number 11. So it is showing some red line. So when I place my mouse over the red line, so it will suggest some window, so which we call it as an variable name. First number is already defined in scope. So which means like you have already used this variable name, or else whenever you are having some error in the program, at the right corner, like you will be getting some error message. When you click on this error message, you will get to know so what is the error. So which means like it is showing in the line number 11, so the variable name is already in scope. So which means like whenever like we are providing the variable name, so the variable name should be unique. So now I'm changing this as a second name, second number. Okay, so if I change it as a second number, so now it is not throwing any error. So now even if I need to print this variable value which is present in the second number, yes, I can add a print statement. How we can add the print statement in the sense, so you can give the yes out and we can click on the enter, and then I can click on the second number. So another good thing about IntelliJ is like, as I told, so the IntelliJ will provide the suggestions. So now if you see, I'm just typing the SC. So whatever it is matching inside this particular method, so a second number is matching up. So it is populating as a suggestion, and close to it, like we are having some logo called as an B. So which means which indicates the variable name. So rather than typing the entire thing, so we can select from the suggestion. And even if you notice, like when I type the int, so I'm getting the suggestions. So which means like whatever the keywords which is starting with IN, it is a suggesting us. So we can choose from the suggestion and we can increase the coding speed. So that is the advantage of using the IntelliJ. So like this, like we should use the appropriate keywords, appropriate data type followed by the variable name, and then we should assign the value. So on how we are storing the whole number with the data type called as an int. In case if it is of a decimal number, so we should use the keyword called as an double. So in this integer data type, if I try to store the decimal number stating that like 100.10, now again it will throw an error, because like the Java is having the restriction, like if it is of an integer, you should store only the whole number. If it is of a double, it is can store the decimal number. So likewise, so we will have some few restrictions, and even like it is providing as a suggestions. Okay, so you have used the integer keyword, but you have provided the double value. So double is nothing but it indicates it's an decimal value. So whenever it is of a decimal value, so now instead of this int keyword, I'm going to use the data type called as an double. So when I use the double, now it is not throwing the error, because the double can store the numeric HS, or it can store the decimal value. So whenever like you are going to store some decimal value, so you should use the keyword called as an double. I'm just giving the variable name as D, and I can give another value called as an 12.12, and at the end I'm giving the semicolon. Now I need to print this up. I'm just adding the yes out statement. I'm just giving yes out on enter, and I'm just pausing this variable. The variable contains the value. So if I execute the program, if I right click and run the program, I should get the output as 45, 100.10 and 12.12. So if you look at the console, like we could able to see 45, 100.1 and 12.12. Okay, so whatever the value we have stored in the variable, the corresponding value will be get printed up. So this is how like we will be using the whole number and the decimal number in our program. And again I'm repeating, so whenever you are providing some variable name, so make sure like the variable name should be unique. So you should provide the unique variable name. If the variable name is not unique, so even if I'm trying to give this first number once again in the double, so it will throw an error. So the variable name should be always unique, and then you should provide the appropriate data type, and then at the end, like you should provide the semicolon, and while adding the print statement, so make sure like you are passing the appropriate variable name. So why we are passing the variable name in the sense, because variable holds the value. So whatever the value which we are assigning, so all the value will be stored inside the variable name called as an first number. Okay. So till this, does anyone have any doubt? Okay, fine. So now in similar way, like we are going to use the character in the string, but we are having few difference over here. So when it is of a numerical values, so you can use the numerical values straightforward in your coding. But when it is of a char, so it should be like mentioned inside the single quotes. If it is of a word, technically we call it as a string, so it should be mentioned inside the double quotes. For example, I'm going to give some character. I'm going to assign some character. I'm using the keyword called as an char. Okay. And I'm giving the variable name. Let it be like sample. Okay, character is equal to, as I mentioned, the character should be mentioned inside the single quotes, and I'm inside the single quotes, I'm providing the letter A. Okay, so a single letter is called as a character. Even if I give A, so it is more than one letter. So which means like it will become the string. So if we have only one digit or single digit or a single letter or the single special character, we call it as an character. So if I mention at, okay, so as it is of a single special character, we can consider as a character. If I give the double at, again it will throw an error. Okay, so when one and only if it is of a single digit or a single letter or the single special character, so we can store it in a data type called as an char. So whenever you are using the char, make sure you are mentioning it inside the single quotes. So now if I try to print the statement, how I will print this statement in the sense, I will be using the yes out and I'm just clicking on the enter. So yes out is nothing but it's a print statement, and this shortcut won't work in the Eclipse. So tomorrow session I will show you how we can do the coding in the Eclipse as well. So whatever the IDE you are comfortable, so it is purely your choice. You can use it any ID. Okay. So now I'm just printing the variable name. I'm suggesting from the sample, and if I run this program, so for sure like the at will be get printed up. Okay. So now next thing is like whenever we are going to inject any word, so we call it as a string. So how we need to type the string in the sense, so the string should be start with a capital letter, so string. Okay, and then I'm giving the variable name, let it be my name. So whenever we are providing the string, it should be provided inside the double quotes. Okay, so this is the rule in Java. So whenever you're using the string data type, so it should be mentioned in the double quotes, the char should be in the single quotes, and the numerical value can be mentioned straightforward. So now like let me print this out. Okay, and then I'm just printing the pausing the variable name. And if I try to run this program, so the Aravind will be get printed up in the console. Okay, so this is how like we will be injecting the numerical values, decimal values, and the character and the word, and then we call only this int, double, and character as a data type, and the string is something called as a class, so which we will be discussing in the later part. As of now, like you consider this, the string as a data type, and similar to int, double, char, and string, so like we are having few other data types, so we are not going to discuss the all data type in a single day. So as I told already, like in the upcoming session, so like whenever we need the respective data type, so I will teach the data type and I will amend the same in the coding.